Broncos at the Chargers. What is Russell Wilson going to do cringeworthy tonight? Let me know. Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Craig Ben, aka Cash Cake, back with another NFL Prize Picks video. We're going to break down the Broncos at Chargers game. Yeah, like I talked about it in the open there. Russell Westbrook. Russell Wilson. Basketball season is here, and I got it on my mind. Been just doing a ton of basketball stuff. But yeah, Russell Wilson with the Broncos. Man, it has not been the way they wanted things to go. And now they got to go on the road at the Chargers. Again, we'll break down all the plays here for you, kind of show you some of my favorite plays, or just kind of talk through some stats, and hopefully it helps you out with your research process. If you like these videos, hit that like button for me, subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to me, and I'll keep trying to knock these out for you and hopefully help you in your research process. Again, Monday Night Football, basketball starts tomorrow. If you want to check out my official picks tonight or any picks for NBA going throughout the season, you can sign up for the Patreon below. And all my picks are going to be in there. Really excited for basketball season. Got a couple things brewing up here for some basketball as well with a lot of the tools that we have. So if you want to check those out, again, you can check them out in the Patreon link below. But with that, let's just dive right into this and talk about this game for tonight. All right, as you can tell, I have the Prizepicks desktop up here. We're going to go through all the plays here and just kind of talk about them, kind of give you some stats. Maybe it can help you out a little bit and help you win a little bit of money tonight. Again, Russell Wilson, man, he's just been so cringeworthy in terms of how he acts with the media. Man, maybe Pete Carroll was right with shipping him out and have Geno. Geno looks great this year, which is surprising. No one would have said that at the beginning of the year, but that's just the truth. Geno has been the better quarterback with Seattle, and Russell's just struggled immensely. And I think a lot of it has to do with Hackett and everything else. So if you don't have an account over at Prizepicks, make sure you use that promo code DFSArmy and get 100% instant deposit match up to $100. And yeah, let's just dive right into this a little bit and kind of see what we got going on, and we'll talk about it. First one here, Russell Wilson, 230.5 pass yards. We kind of look what the Chargers do defensively. They allow 237.5 passing yards a game, which ranks about 12th in NFL so far this year. And Russell Wilson has actually went over this in 3 of the 5 games that he has played. I think they're going to be playing from behind here, so there's no massive juice either way. The line's at 232.5 out there in some of the books. I would lean taking the over here. Brissett put up 230 on these guys earlier. Davis Mills put up 246 against the Chargers with Houston. Trevor Lawrence put up 262. Derek Carr back on September 11th put up 295. So they've given up quite a few pass yards, and 230 might just be a little bit low, even though that they've struggled. But being on the road, if they are going to be from behind, they're going to have to try to get away from that running style, I think. And so we could probably lean at taking more pass yards here for Russell Wilson. Justin Herbert on the other side at 265.5. Now, Denver is ranked 31st in passing yards allowed. They're only giving up 176 yards a game. So if we kind of look at who they've played, Geno Smith, they only gave up 195 to him. The Broncos, Davis Mills, they only gave up 177 to him, 211 to Jimmy G, 188 to Derek Carr. And then they did give up 251 to Matt Ryan. So one of the spots where he has went over this mark in 4 of the 5 games they played this year, but going up against this Broncos defense, they do play slow. So I think that hurts them a little bit as well. But Herbert has the weapons to get there for sure. But again, with the way that the Broncos pass defense has been, only giving up that many yards, I mean, that is pretty low. We might have to look at, they're not going to get there. We looking just passing TDs allowed a game. They're allowing just 0.6 passing touchdowns a game. So if I was going to lean anything, I would probably lean less than 265.5. They can get done different ways, but it's not one I'm going to touch. Herbert's a super talented quarterback and can get it done numerous ways, and not one that I think I really want to attack there. Looking at rushing yards, Russell Wilson here, The last 3 games he has got there, 17, 29, and 22, been running a little bit more. The Chargers are giving up 130 yards a game on the ground. So they're giving up quite a bit on the ground there. So if we look at Russell Wilson, if we look at the quarterbacks, what they've done, Trevor Lawrence put up 7 rushing yards against him. Pat Mahomes -1. So they got to get pressure to him for him to roll out there. And maybe they do this game if they're behind. That defense, pins their ears back a little bit and they get them out on the pocket and get them running. So maybe you lean over that, but anything of Russell Wilson's, I just get nervous at taking. Justin Herbert at 9.5, kind of stay away from that. Nothing that I'm too excited to take with him. He's only went over this in one of the last 6 or 7 games. It's just nothing that I really want to take looking at Justin Herbert there. And plus, you got to remember, he a couple games ago, he got smashed in the ribs pretty good. So nothing that I'm excited to take of his at that 9.5 mark, especially if they get up in that pocket and it gets clean and they don't get to him. I don't really want to touch that one. Melvin Gordon, 54.5. Again, it's his backfield right now, basically, with no Williams being out. So it's basically Gordon and Boone for the most part. We look at a 54.5. And, he had that last game against Indy. And, got 54 yards against Indy, but that's a pretty good rush defense. Like I said, the Chargers are ranked 7th with that average on 130 yards on the ground. Nick Chubb against the Chargers put up a $134. Even Hunt in that same game put up 47. Dameon Pierce put up 131 against them on October 2nd. James Robinson on September 25th against the Chargers put up 100. Clyde Hilaire, even him, even CH, man, put up 74 against them. So they've given up quite a bit of rush yards here against them. The only I worry if they get behind, maybe he doesn't get there. But at 54.5, I think this is one we can kind of look at taking more on if we're just looking at if the game stays close. If the game gets out of control, maybe they get away from the run a little bit. But he's probably going to split a lot of snaps with Boone. Boone did put up 38 rush yards last week, so it's not like it's all him. So it's the only worry with like a Melvin Gordon play here again is the game gets out of control and then they push more on the pass towards this game. But I still think that line is fair enough. You can go over. Depends if they give him more run. He's had fumbling problems, which can cause issues with the team. If he fumbles early, maybe they give Boone a lot more run. That's the issue there. Austin Ekler and Josh Kelly here. Eckler's sitting at 59.5. He's only went over this mark in 2 of the last 5 games. Put up a ton against Cleveland. Just a massive game here. And now Denver does allow 112 rushing yards a game. And we look at the snaps he's playing. He plays about 50 to 60% of the snaps, right? So Josh Kelly does come in quite a bit. He put up 49 rush yards against Cleveland last week. And if we look, what some of these running backs have done against these guys, Josh Jacobs put up 144 rush yards against them on October 2nd. Jeff Wilson put up 75 against the Chargers on the 25th of September. Dameon Pierce, 69 on the 18th. So they are giving up some yards, and maybe it's a point where they get up heavy and they lean a little bit more on the run and they don't pass as much. And maybe that's a spot where we look at taking the over, but I'm not going to touch it personally. But if you're building a game script, which I highly recommend building when you do these, maybe if you see the Chargers get out early, and they don't need to throw a ton, maybe you lean on going more 59.5 rush yards with Austin Eckler and going under on Herbert's pass yards and something like that correlate really well. Receiving yards, looking at Ekler at 36.5. He catches the ball out of backfield a ton. Kind of look what he's done. He's went over this mark in almost 4 of the 5 games, but 3 of the 5 games. The last time he played Denver last year, he had 68 and 54. The last 2 games he has played Denver. So it's a spot I could see, if it's a close game, they'll use him a ton, right? With no Allen out there, no Keenan Allen, they just use him quite a bit in the passing game. with Mike Williams and Ekler. So I don't mind leaning on this more than 36.5 here. The line's at 37.5 in a lot of the books that are out there. So I don't mind leaning on that. I mean, if we look at, some of the backs that they've played against, Deion Jackson, with Indy that Denver's played against, gave up 29. They gave up 31 to Jacobs. And this guy's just an elite running back in terms of that. So I look at more if I was looking at that. Mike Williams at 68.5. Again, I'm not sure, the way the Denver slows the ball down. Like, he's had some massive games here. He's a boomer bust play, and you can tell by, what we're looking at here, right? Now, if we look at, like I said, there's not a ton of, Denver's, only gives up 176 pass yards a game. So maybe this is a spot we look at taking less yards from him. It's just 68.5, but it's so tough because he can get this in one pass. Like, that's the thing with Williams. A lot of his stuff is down the field, and that's where it's really tough to trust him because of the nature of his boom or bust by looking at his game longs as well. So I don't think I'm gonna touch that, but I would lean less if you're gonna if you want to take a Mike Williams prop. I would lean less there. If you saw how mad KJ Hamler was in the last game where Denver lost, I mean, he was absolutely irate. One of those guys that, only caught, he only put up 10 reception yards but he had the touchdown easily if Russ saw him last game. Played 53% of the snaps that game. He's been kind of all over the place in terms of playing time. If we kind of look at Vegas, even when he did go over that 55, he hardly played any of the snaps. San Francisco played 26%, 61% against Seattle. So kind of just been all over the place in terms of playing time. And with them having Sutton and Judy there, are they going to let him play much here? I don't think I want to take a shot on him. Eric Saubert, not going to touch him. Gerald Everett, a little bit interesting at 32.5. He's been playing about 65% of the snaps the last two games. You can tell that Herbert does like to throw to him. But again, is this one of those games where they lean more on Ekler and the run game and not so much on Everett? I think I'll leave it alone, with this passing attack, just by looking at what Denver's done. Maybe lean a little bit heavier on the run game or Ekler's receiving here. On Denver side, Jerry Jeudy 51.5, Courtland Sutton 67.5. They got to get it done here. They got to do something different because what they're doing is not working. Courtland Sutton has actually went over this mark in 4 of the 5 games that he has played. Amari Cooper put up 76 against these guys. Njoku 88 against the Chargers. Nico Collins put up 82 against the Chargers when Houston played him back on October 2nd. Christian Kirk put up 72 against the Chargers on September 25th. Zay Jones put up 85. So they're giving up some pretty big yards here in terms of some of these receivers. So Courtland Sutton 67.5. Maybe want to lean a little bit over. We talked about how the Chargers give up 237 passing yards a game. So they have no problem giving it up there. And they give up a pretty good chunk of completion percentages. A 67%, 36 passing attempts a game as well. So teams are throwing on them. If I had to lean one, I'd probably lean Sutton over Jared Jeudy. If I had to pick one of these guys to lean more, he just seems to have more of a connection to him than he does with Jeudy. But if we think they're going to throw a little bit more here from playing from behind, I would want to go more than one of these guys. Melvin Gordon in the pass game, we kind of see what he did. He had 49 receiving yards in that game, and they're going to probably use him a lot as well. Even though he's getting not all the snaps at running back, 14.5, he can get there pretty quickly in terms of receptions. He had 3 receptions in that game for 49 yards. So we could probably see that again. So I don't mind if you want to take a Melvin Gordon more than receiving yards. If you want to do that more than his rush prop, I don't mind that. But I would lean here Gordon more, Ekler more, Sutton more, and then maybe look at Mike Williams less is how I'd kind of see the receiving side of it. Receptions, Austin Ekler, he's always going to be in line to catch a ton of balls. I don't mind if you want to take in more in this. If we kind of look what he's done, he's been at or above this in all 5 games this year. I don't think it'll slow down a ton. The line's at 4.5 at a lot of places that are out there. I wouldn't touch that, but if we're going to see something, And at this point, where with no with no Keenan Allen, he's probably going to get a ton of balls. So I don't mind if we want to do more of that. Sutton, I would lean more, but again, not sure how many. He like I said, he's had 5 or more in 4 of the 5 games he's played. So you can tell the juice is minus 130 on over 4.5. I'd rather take the over 4.5. You can get it on one of the books, but definitely he's his favorite target. So I don't mind if you want to lean more than 5 receptions for him for Cortland Sutton. Again, on this side, Mike Williams, I'm just going to lean less than him on a lot of this stuff with what Denver's done defensively against a lot of these teams. So Everett 3, Hamler 2. I'm not excited about taking any of these guys. So I'd lean more Sutton and Ekler here if looking for that. And then let's come down to field goals made. We look at the kickers a little bit and see what they've done. Dustin Hopkins, he's kicked only 2 field goals. They like to go for it a lot on 4th down, so that kind of hurts his field goal production. He's only kicked 2 field goals in one of his last 5 games. So that kind of hurts him a little bit there in that perspective. McManus, if I was going to lean one, I would take more just because of how Denver's offense is kind of horrific. So he might have to kick a little bit more. So if I had to lean anything, I'd lean more of the 1.5 field goals for him and less for Hopkins. But I think I might stay away from this quite a bit here. So there's the first 5 I went through. I could have go through all these, but I think that's where I'm leaning. I wouldn't really play a ton this game, right? Like when you're building these, it's all about game script. And anytime Denver's on one of these island slates like this, it's really tough because they are a tough team to watch with what they've been doing offensively. And it's like, again, if you think the Chargers are going to get up early, maybe you lean on more rush and and then maybe lean higher on Russell Wilson pass yards and Cortland Sutton, receptions or receiving yards with them playing from behind, which, probably should be the case here. So with that, again, appreciate each and every one of you guys. Hit that like button on your way out. If you want to see my official picks for tonight, you can go over there and check out the Patreon below. And we're working on a plus EV tool for NBA that should be out here today. It's basically just going to show you the line that's out there for Prizepicks, and then kind of show you the line that's out there for the books to kind of just show you if it is a plus EV play. So you can check all that stuff out. Again, appreciate each and one of you guys, and I'll see you guys on the flip side. Deuces.